This is another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper. What's happening, homie?
What's going on, man?
All right, introduce yourself to the New Black World Order TV audience.
My name is Montigue Magruder. I'm running for City Council in the 5th District, which includes neighborhoods such as Swansboro, Swansboro West, Randolph, Morgan Hill, the Stadium neighborhood, and Carolyn and Bird Park.
Okay, all right. I'm going to ask you some of the similar questions.
Sure.
What's the difference between you and any other average politician?
Is that the difference between me and them is that I've actually been able to present a plan to the people instead of presenting these little flashy little flyers and whatnot to have a bunch of flashy colors and fancy buzzwords. I've actually produced flyers that I can give to you that you can look over and research on and that you can look forward to fighting for regardless of who gets elected.
Okay, all right. So could you tell us what type of solutions that you're trying to bring to address some of these issues that you see in the city?
Well, one of the things I would like to do is I would like to implement what's known as participatory budgeting, which is the democratic form of budget creation where instead of city council and the mayor coming up with a budget and then you just have to deal with it, everybody can come together as one city and demand that our tax dollars be spent a certain way, and then the city has to spend that money according to how we demand it. And that's what I want, one of the things I want to implement about, elected city council.
Okay, the next question would be, and you already familiar with the Section 3, 1968
Yes.
HUD Act. What would you do different if you were on the board as it relates to the compliance of the 1968 HUD Act, Section 3?
Well, I believe that in order for us to enforce that, we need to make sure that the mayor's office is ready to enforce it. See, City Council has very little leeway, in my understanding, in terms of enforcing Section 3. We can ask the mayor's administration if they're in compliance, and that's one of the things I am willing to do on a regular basis if I am elected.
Right, because I was thinking that the council person with their constituencies from their district could garner the pressure to put on a mayor.
Yeah, exactly. But at the same time, that's what we are elected for. The people elect us in order to be able to represent their interests. And if they demand that we comply with Section 3, then that's my job if I'm elected, to ensure that the mayor's office is in compliance, that the city in general is in compliance. Because to say that the city's not in compliance also says that I'm not in compliance.
Say that again.
To say that the city
is not in compliance,
it means that
the person that holds the office is not in compliance.
Exactly.
And so that's why you seek to remove them and get in that chair.
Exactly.
Because you're about the people.
I'm really about the people. And like I said, I have a plan that I can present to the people that we can all come together and look forward to fighting for if we get elected. I'm going to just simply say this election here in the city, it's a lot at stake, and you should know the kind of people that you're going to be voting for in this election, because you have the right to vote, and just as much as you have the right to vote, you should have the right to know who you're voting for. And if anyone thinks that you should not be able to find out who you're voting for, then those kind of people should not have any kind of audience with you.
Because there's no transparency.
Exactly. Like when you see all these people, all these candidates putting out all these flyers talking about they're going to be promoting transparency and accountability, they're using dancing buzzwords and flashy little colors and graphics to sucker you in. But how many of them actually come to you and present you of a plan, show you a plan that you can look over and research for yourself and think critically on, so that you can have an understanding of exactly what that person is trying to do if they get elected to that office that they seek.
Okay, and so the next question would be, you know the language that they're using with this 1968 thing? They're saying job. Nobody from the inside wants to really use the word ownership and a stake in.
Exactly. Now, I'm not too keen on the legal language. I know what it is. I just don't know the exact legal language. But I I do believe that when it comes to compliance with Section 3, I think we need to go a little bit further than that. We need to make sure that these jobs are paying a living wage above $15 an hour so that people can live comfortably and not be in poverty. We need to make sure that they're able to unionize and come together and to be able to protect their rights in the workplace, and that they need to be able to move up through the company and then perhaps one day own a slice of that company, be able to retire with dignity.
Right. Well, maybe I was thinking in the terms of, when I think of redevelopment of low-income housing people, the PJs, the projects, etc., what I'm thinking of is ownership.
I think it's, I hear gentrification when I hear redevelopment.
When I heard jobs, I heard gentrification too. Because if I'm a developer,
yes,
a black developer,
yes,
why isn't there any black developers getting 40% of that budget?
Exactly.
Why isn't any black-owned construction companies or poor white construction companies, right? Or any of the other minorities that want ownership? But we know at the time it was to address African Americans. Exactly. But they didn't put that word there. They put minority there.
Exactly.
And low-income poor people. But the people that got the contract for that library, the people that got the contract for that building, the people that got the contract for the George Bush Courthouse, the company is out of Germany.
Exactly. And that's the thing. They want to be able to slip that in there so they can basically say, oh, well, we're looking out for everybody, for all disadvantaged
because we gave them jobs, but we didn't give them ownership. Now, if home ownership is important to developing a community, would not business ownership, a stake in, be better than a job?
Exactly. Yep. I agree.
Right.
I agree. I mean, and that's important. We need to fight for not only just quality jobs that we can work ourselves through and be able to support our families on. We need to be able to draw something from that.
Right.
Like, that's why I say being able to move up through the company, being able to have a buy-in with that company, stock options, stuff like that.
Right.
Can we get a part of that too, or is it just relegated to certain minorities?
Because we got social integration.
Yeah.
Even with racism still being here, post-Obama, right? Yeah. But there's no economic integration when it comes to those city contracts.
Of course not. And like you said earlier, the way they have the language written as being able to, you have to give them to minorities, allows them to slide by that.
Right.
And so what has to happen is we have to be able to make policies that actually prioritize certain businesses.
Right.
If we can do so without setting off any racial discrimination lawsuits.
Right. Well, the compliance effort is a law suit, right?
Yeah, a consent decree.
Right, because we fought to put the law on the book.
Yes.
Now we got to fight 40 years for compliance.
Exactly, and that's not fair.
That's discord.
That's not right.
It's causing discord among the citizens because you got some poor white construction owners in this city. You got some poor black construction owners. You got Bradley Construction and Developers.
Yeah, Earl Bradley.
Earl Bradley.
I know exactly who he is. I work right across the street from his house.
That's right.
Well, one of his houses, I guess. He says he owns a lot of property, but I work right across the street from him. And that's one of the things, like, for example, we're talking to Earl Bradley. Like, he seems to have came out and endorsed some of the very people that have been complicit
working against him.
Exactly. People like one of my opponents, Mark Agalesto, like Chris Holber, like the two black women, well, three black women.
That's the name of the guy that was at the press conference with us, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that keep using the language jobs. He refused to use the word ownership and a stake in.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. He appears at those press conferences and things like that to make it look like he's on the right side of civil rights.
He's gaslighting us.
Exactly.
He's making us question our own sanity. Because I know I hear ownership, I know I hear stake, but all he keeps saying is jobs.
And the thing is, we want more than jobs.
We want, say that again.
We want more than jobs.
Right.
You know, say forget just jobs. We want to be able to determine our own destiny and determine the destiny for our own family.
And the city of Richmond should be willing to engage and help us get there.
Exactly. And I'm a person that believe in Marxist principles, and that we should always prioritize the quality of human life above profit. And that being said, helping black businesses, being able to get some of the contracts, that is a promotion of the quality of human life. Because that allows us to come together to be able to build our wealth and share our wealth together and be able to uplift one another out of poverty.
Right.
As they say, each one teach one, reach one.
That's right. So now, we're going to go a different direction.
Sure.
What do you think about removing the statute of limitation on child molestation?
Well, my thing is, I think it's about time it goes. Because those children, they go through a lot of traumatic stress after the incident takes place.
That turn into problems for city agencies when that they have to spend money. That if they got rid of that problem, it would again benefit the city.
Oh, of course it would. But the whole point, the thing is first we got to make sure that the Department of Social Services is properly staffed and well funded. That's not the case right now because, again, you got City Hall folks prioritizing profit-making schemes over the quality of human life. That's the major problem. Like if they would invest in making sure that the social services was staffed and properly funded so that the social workers could do their work, like Rebecca Keel could go out there and do their work, then we will see a different outcome on things entirely.
Right. And if there was certain laws in place on that statute, right, maybe certain people wouldn't be running right now.
Of course, Joe Morrissey would not be running. But the whole point is, you look at Joe Morrissey, you read the Alfred plea agreement, you see that Morrissey is a sick fuck. And I'm saying it right, simple and plain. Morrissey is a sick fuck. I know Morrissey's father-in-law. Me and Joe Morrissey's father-in-law have been friends for 2 years. Me and him are close, like this. All right. There's a lot of things about Joe Morrissey that people do not know and need to be made aware of, and especially when it comes to how he has treated his father-in-law. The fact that he banned his father-in-law from attending the wedding, the fact that he has prevented his father-in-law...
He prevented the father-in-law?
Yes.
Allegedly?
No. We were at a forum at Fifth Baptist Church out in the Fane. Joe Morrissey was there. He was going to speak. And the father-in-law came because he wanted to be there to watch me speak and see the other candidates speak.
Okay.
Joe Morrissey comes in there. He sees his father-in-law, turns back around and walks out. Then we go after him. Chad Ingold, who was running for mayor, goes after him, tries to go ahead and talk to him. And then Joe Morrissey turns around and says, "Don't worry about it. You're not fucking invited to the wedding. And have you found a job yet?"
Said that to the...
He said that to the father-in-law.
What?
And not only that, but he has prevented his father-in-law from seeing his children and from seeing his daughter.
So how could he be...
And his grandchildren for the past 3 years.
So how could he be good for black families in this city?
He's not good for black.
How could he be good for any family in this city?
He's not. He's not good for any family in the city. And I want everybody to understand that Morrissey is preying on black voters. Your vote matters, black people. Black votes matter. And Morrissey is preying on us. He is preying on us. He is using his reputation as being a pro bono lawyer for the NAACP and speaking out on black issues in order to gain your support, to let you put signs in his yard. That's one of the reasons why he has a lead in the mayor's race right now, because he's been able to prey on black voters. And it's also, not only that, it's also the fault of the other candidates running. You see people like Michelle Mosby, like Lawrence Williams. Have they been going into the poor black areas of the city? Have they been going
I've been
south?
looking for them. I see you.
Exactly.
I see Miss Keel.
Exactly. Are they going south of the river? Are they going into Swansboro? Are they going into Oak Grove, Bellmead? Are they going further up and down Jeff Davis corridor, going to talk to some of the poorest of the poor? Are they going up the Broad Rock corridor where there are a lot of people that can't even afford to turn on their water bills? I mean, that's a big issue for a lot of candidates, and that's why Morrissey has that lead, because of the fact that he's been going to those districts. And I've tried to get a hold of some of these candidates and tell them, look, if y'all want a chance, y'all need to go out, y'all need to go south.
And what's really his track record? He helped get people off drug charges.
But that's about it.
Right. That's all I hear in the neighborhood.
That's it.
Joe Morrissey fights for the drug dealer.
But not only that, but you have to, like I said, you have to look at his record in the General Assembly. How many bills did he actually get passed?
Hey, good question.
Just 2, and both of those bills only involved the memorialization of somebody's death.
Right.
Nothing actually
He didn't
involving...
push for removing the statute of limitation on child molestation.
And on top of that, what bills has he actually introduced that actually benefited black people?
Or poor people in general.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, because if that's the case, then McAuliffe wouldn't have to put out that executive order to reinstate the rights of formerly convicted felons.
Right.
Okay, Morrissey should have been leading the fight on that. And speaking of that, there was a protest that
I know you've been talking about it.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was a protest that happened back in July at around the state capitol.
That beige building right in the back over there?
Yeah, at the state capitol.
Right.
It was to defend McAuliffe's executive order restoring the rights of
when those 2 guys sued to strike it down.
Exactly.
Right.
Now, Morrissey was not there. LeVar Stoney, who was actually the architect behind that executive order, was there. And he was walking with me in the protest.
Right.
So what does that say?
That say that you a man that got your boots on the ground.
Exactly.
Right.
And when you look, like I said, when you look at Morrissey, he's a so-called fighter for the people, but he ain't show his face in that protest.
Right.
So what is he actually doing?
All I see him fighting, he got a record of fighting to get drug dealers less time.
Basically, but the thing is, look at how much he's probably doing that, and he's taking a little cut on the side for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here, say, I wouldn't be surprised to find that out, just like I wasn't surprised to find out that the state law board is challenging his license to practice law because of the fact that they caught him lying in his plea agreement. Like I'm telling y'all, black people, Morrissey is a sick fuck, and he's preying on black voters. If I could compare him to a fictional character, the white man in the movie, the Family That Prays, that would be Morrissey right there.
Okay. Okay.
Because that's exactly how he acts. And I bet you the moment shit hits the fan, his wife is basically going to be running right back to her father because Morrissey is going to cut her off and leave her high and dry.
Yeah, yeah. And so, in a final statement,
sure,
why should we vote for you?
You should vote for me because I have a heart and a conscience, and I want to revive the heart and restore the conscience back to City Council so that we actually prioritize the needs of the people over all these profit-making schemes that have harmed the people of the city. I want to do things like putting a moratorium on public housing.
Right. Because
you can displace poverty without having to displace people.
Right.
If the RHA, for example, would have kept up the maintenance on all the units, we would not be seeing, we wouldn't have these discussions about tearing down poverty. I want to do things like increase the minimum wage to at least $23 an hour, which is what it should be today. And I want to do things like implement participatory budgeting so that we all, poor people, black people, regardless of where you are in the city, you and I can all come together and demand how this city prioritizes the tax dollars that you pay through the fruits of your labor.
All right, and thank you. This has been another New Black World Order TV Productions. Chopper.
All right.